Hello, curious ones. I'm here with Amanda today. Hi, Amanda.
Hello, Jen.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing.
Your face turned instantly red when I said that. Isn't it cringe
Yeah, it's
to
crazy.
totally be on this,
Yeah,
whatever this is,
I
this
mean, it's
ride?
fun.
It is, well, I don't know about fun. I mean, it can be.
It can
I have
be.
fun with Sonia. Today's kind of a heavy day in the collective, and I can feel that in
Yeah,
you. So we'll put a little bit of it down on the microphone if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
And I'm going to give you a little backstory. Amanda is one of my vendors, one of my local artists that has her phenomenal artwork in
Whoop.
here, I must say. She draws beautifully small, very detailed paintings on very small objects and does a wonderful job. And she's got quite the personality, the artist personality, so you're quite outgoing. You just said that you're a bit stressed. You've got to move.
Yep.
You've got 2 new jobs now, is that right?
Yeah.
Frederick Meyer Garden, and now what restaurant are you at?
Luna downtown. I have my interview on Friday, or my meeting to decide on availability and things like that. So
Yeah, gonna go back into that life, huh?
I did not want to at all.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't that suck when you gotta do, I fucking hate have to.
I hate have to.
I hate have to.
It is poison for me.
Yeah, I'm not like, it's
That
not that I
makes me
hate
avoidant.
responsibility.
Right.
It's not, it's more, I like my freedom.
Mhm.
So when, I mean, have to creeps in, it's like, fuck this shit. I don't wanna. But I mean, I always tell myself, you gotta do it in the don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, you do. I do. I can't
All
afford.
sorts of them.
Yeah, I mean, you're young and I'm
So
old.
many.
And what's the worst part is I can't miss a beat either. It's like the minute if I were to slow down, so I have to get trampled.
Yeah, and
That'd be
I just be
fuck.
getting trampled all the time. I'm
Yeah,
just like, oh no, I
there's
slowed
no-
down. I'm trampled
yeah.
now.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, but you could be being prepared for something at your age,
It better
major.
be.
The universe. I'm starting to begin to think that the universe. Well, because I've been on this planet a little bit longer than you, I can see the pattern of how the universe sends me all these tests.
Yeah.
Like, here, dummy, I'm gonna see one more time if you'll pass it or not. And if you pass it, you get to go to the next level. And I'm not saying that the next level is gonna be like, oh, the Holy Grail. The next level is just gonna be fucking harder.
Oh my God, you're so right.
I know, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it definitely feels. I don't know if I would call it divine intervention. I don't know how divine it is.
Isn't everything divine?
Yeah, fair. Just that, just some type of universal intervention that's like, oh, you want to transition right now? Let's do a crazy overhaul.
Yeah, but we're in March. That's what March really kind of always
about,
is.
I guess. Yeah, it's springtime, blooming.
Yeah, March isn't my most favorite month. I mean, it used to be. I love
Still freezes
March.
over sometimes.
Yeah, no. Oh, as far as Michigan goes,
Oh
fuck
my
you, March. You know, because you never know, snow, whatever. But March is one of those for me on my life path calendar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anniversary dates of, then and now. My brother, and here's a lot of things that all really kind of revolve around the date of the spring equinox, which is the 21st.
Yeah.
My brother was murdered on the 21st of March. My best friend from high school, Yippee Skippy 5150, the day on a Friday the 13th. I was in Florida. We were texting each other because we were approaching our 50th birthdays. And when you have friends from high school, but you don't stay in touch.
Yeah.
We were texting each other. We got to meet up. We're going to be 50. One of us has got to do it before we're dead. One of those conversations. And we never, it was always constantly, yeah, let's do for lunch. We never, for years,
let's do that.
never met up. And I'm at work at my desk one day, and I'm scrolling through Facebook because I'm a rebel like that. And I'm like, fuck your rules. And you don't pay me enough not to look at my phone type of thing. And I came across something that her sister had posted that said, yes, that was my sissy poo in the fire. And I was like, huh? What? And wow, I instantly messaged her, and I was like, what sister? Because she's got a few.
Yeah.
and it was my mom. It was my Chrissy, and she, the day before her divorce was supposed to be final, her ex had found her in her new apartment. Yeah, with a crossbow on fire, shot
That
her in the
is
heart.
fucking insane. Are
Yeah,
you kidding?
I'm not joking.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not joking. And he ended up dying, I don't know how many weeks later from the burns because the dog attacked him and the gas spilled all over him. Karma.
Idiot.
Instant karma,
Yeah.
whatever.
What
But
a piece of shit.
right. And it makes you think at this age, like I'm surprised at all the domestic relationships that I have been in where they felt the need to put their hands on me that could
Yeah.
or the stalkers that I had, I mean real life stalkers.
Right.
That
Not the
would-
cute
because-
kind. Not the Hallmark
Well, no,
kind.
they were cute. Crazy fuck's the best, but you know. Suit and tie guy could never even get PPO against him,
Oh
you know,
my God,
because
yeah.
he wears a suit and tie. Of course, you know, you can't be telling the truth. And that dude broke my back and left me for dead.
Oh my God.
You know, that kind of stuff
Oh my
where
God.
you're just like, wow, I seen some shit.
Oh my
So the
God,
month of
I'm
March,
perspective
really, you
now.
know, circling back the long way, the
Yeah.
month of March is like, wow, to look back on how far, well, especially when you're my age, like all the lessons or all the life things that you've accumulated. And in March's box, there's so many of these little poignant anniversaries or
Yeah.
signposts and these little marks of, and mind you, my little brother, by his ChristianMingle.com wife.
Are you kidding?
No. So when I tell you I'm a walking Dateline story,
Ugh.
I mean it.
And a
I mean,
surprising
I
amount of
shouldn't bring
people
that. I
are.
shouldn't bring more into my universe.
No,
But I am an
finished,
interesting walking story book because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. And I watch you because you're how old? 20,
26.
26. That's
I had to
right.
think about it.
26. I know. I seen the number 55 today,
Mm-hmm.
and it threw me off.
How
and
long?
I was like,
Wait, was that already your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm 55, and that number does not even look cool. Like
I think
it kind of does,
Listen, it's
but
kind of cool.
it is kind of cool if
And
you
the
put eyes
longer
on
you
it.
survive, the more people you're gonna outlive. And
Yeah, so that's
there's
my
a lot of
point.
grief with
Good
that.
point, because that's my point. Circling back to that, at your age of 26, you might not have the lost stories or the experiences, and you might. And I'm sad. I mean, let's see. My mom was already dying when I was 26,
Ugh.
so I already knew she was on her way
Mhm.
out. At 21, saved me from being a stripper. That's a whole nother episode.
It's never too late.
1991. Woo!
We'll find some way to get our money up.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble as I start. Well, I'm getting past the cringe, so it's not so bad,
Yeah.
you know, talking about certain things because you do learn a lot of valuable lessons in the school of life. And like, I'm sure you're probably using or learning one today with having to maneuver these feelings that don't feel so good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you feel like you're getting crushed from both sides and having to move, and it's just so much. I feel it, and I wish I could tell
endless.
you. I wish I was one of those adults that had it all together and was going to give you some.
No, I prefer the honesty.
Well, I'm not a train wreck or anything, but
No.
I mean, it is. It's just life. It's just you gotta.
My mom has
Roll
gotten
with
into
it.
the habit of saying things like, the world I was raised in doesn't exist anymore. You know, the world she was raised in everything's so different now. So how she was taught to adult and do things has changed. And the world that she raised me in is different. Just, you know,
How old
10,
is your mom?
15, 25. She turns 50 this year.
Oh, so okay, fair.
And she's just like,
She's
everything
not
is so
wrong.
different. She's like, I don't even know the best advice to give you. I don't know, you know, maybe 20 years ago, you would have been like, I know what to say. I know what's working for people. But I mean, most things
That's a very good point.
are not working for people right now. Most things are not.
Wow, it's
easy
crazy. I don't
squeezy.
even know if life's working for some people right now.
It
I
ain't.
mean, always having this flight or fight,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And then freeze and fawn in there too. And I find myself doing that shit
Yeah,
constantly.
Well, I'm My daughter and I were talking, and I tend to do things more out of spite. Like, I fucking hate you, world!
Yeah.
And I'll get like 18 things off my list done,
Yeah,
because
when I'm grumpy, I can
doing
clean
it
the
out
whole
of,
house.
yeah, I'm doing it out of some sort of spite, and a
Yeah.
lot of major patternistic things that I see, like this place is a prime example. Look at how pretty it is. Look at it. Look
It's
what
so
you can do with
cute.
heartache.
Panic, panic.
You're right, right? So there's a lot, but we are definitely in a portal of pressure.
Yeah, it's like a big pressure cooker.
And your mom's right. I wouldn't even know what type of information or advice I would even feel comfortable doling out.
Seriously, it's all good luck, kid. Which is, I mean, I don't.
Survival of the fittest!
Yeah, do what it do, I guess.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Exactly. Is
Yeah.
it about luck, though?
No, I mean,
Because if you read any of Neville Goddard or any of the old greats, which I absolutely love, on manifestation, and we're creating our reality right now. What are we inviting into our realities, and what are you holding in your awareness that's constantly inviting?
Well, and I'm starting to become aware of it more and more. I have a lot of unprocessed grief. I've got childhood trauma I've been trying to work through, so that brings things up, bubbling to the surface.
And let me just forewarn you, there is one thing that I have come to find out, that trauma will always work itself out in a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Knock my own stuff over.
Sorry, Spencer, we're being a little loud with our microphones.
Yeah, just edit out my squeals.
Yeah, you'll fix it. I like things real and raw, so he knows the drill. What else you got going on today? We were supposed to totally do something that we're not doing, so we're podcasting.
Yeah, we're just avoiding it for.
Yeah, well, that's my whole life.
That's my whole life. I have become just a beacon of avoidance. Well, I put myself
So do you think you're
an
avoidant on the spectrum?
It just depends. As far as
I hate labels.
Spectrums go, I'm all over the fucking place.
Yeah, me too.
It depends on my mood. It depends on my nourishment level. It depends on the time of day. How hard my...
Whoops. Sorry, Spencer. Yeah, there are a lot.
Spencer. So, like, the
yeah, because we want to get back to the number 37. But yeah, that.
Like today, my brain just didn't work. I knew what I needed to do. Like a ping pong. Yes, exactly like a ping pong. I know what I need to do. I set out to do it. Well, I mean, obviously, sometimes I have no fucking
So did this appointment, because you're kind of like me, you want to follow through, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, like I woke up.
So
I can't do it.
Well, you know what? Take it 1 second right now. Pat yourself on the back right now that you did it in the don't want to.
I really did.
That you did do it, and I'm pretty harmless.
I was like halfway here and realized I forgot the number one thing I wanted. I was so focused on not forgetting stuff, which was what was tripping me up. The ADHD makes me, when it's crunch time. Well,
to be fair, you got a little bit on your plate.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm super dysregulated right now with the news of having to move.
When did you get that news?
My dream house on Sunday.
Oh, so it's not been still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
So when you say dream house, it's a whole house?
It's a whole
oh my gosh, you got to leave a whole house.
We got lucky. Apartment. That's what I'm saying.
You got to pack up a whole effing house.
That's what I'm saying.
And not even an apartment. It's a whole effing house.
It's a whole effing house. An house. And you know me, I am the queen of, I want that. I'll do something with that. I can. And I do.
Don't you have a storage unit that you were just going to get rid of?
A storage unit? I was going to unpack the storage unit into my house. So glad I didn't do that.
Oh, shit, yeah.
But I couldn't pay for it this month, so I'm going to find out whatever the late fee is on that. And then I have a studio downtown that I also kind of turned into a storage unit after I moved out of the last place over a year ago. I was like, I got all these extra boxes. I just got to shove them somewhere. So I kind of destroyed my sacred little art space in a hurry. Trauma, drama, all sorts of shit was going on in my life.
No wonder you're not flowing.
Why
are you sitting here with me? You should be cleaning out your shit.
You're telling me how.
Why do you think they call it spring cleaning?
My friend's gonna come over today, I think, and she doesn't know it yet, but she's probably gonna participate in some body doubling and some co-tasking. And
Wow.
I'm so codependent at this point because I'm
Mm.
so avoidant. I grew up in a
But I
very
love
big
your self. I
family.
love your self-awareness though.
Oh, I'm
But how can you get up and past, okay, now I know what is going on with me.
mhm.
What motivates you other than the seeing the end process? If you're anything like me, I have a way of
Yeah, the
probably romanticizing, the path there, and
Yeah.
then I'm there.
And then
Not the
there.
shit that you really got to do on the path.
Yeah.
That I just want the end product. I don't
Yeah. And I'm
really.
all about the journey, but you know what?
Yeah,
Parts of the journey
fuck
fucking
that journey.
suck,
I've been on a
dude.
few. I
Parts
know.
of it suck.
Yeah.
And
But you'll
tried
go look
lots.
back and be like, God, I remember that. I remember I crammed in a day with Jen, and then we just packed my boxes with my friend.
Yeah.
And then you'll listen to this podcast when it comes out in a few weeks. But what motivates you?
What
When
motivates me?
when Amanda's in this mood of whether it's in the astral stars or you perceive that it is, because we don't, listen. I don't want to get lambasted. Everything's astrology. Which I totally get. All right. But some of it's fun. Let me have some fucking fun here.
Well, and as far as astrology go, I think too many people really like to abuse the point of it to make
You mean Christianity?
Oh, 100%. That's what I'm saying. They take this message.
Yeah, they'll twist it. Yeah.
And they're trying to sell it to somebody. And
that's why I would never
you.
listen to, or I would never read my horoscope on the day of. It's always the day after. Bitch, I want to see if you're right.
Dude, it's
because when you're a little gifted and you feel like you're getting messages, my whole life has been, is that a brain tumor or am I getting what the it's only at age 55, but when you look back at the age of 55 and look at your 8 to say 11, well, say 5 to 11-ish age of your beginnings of certain things that you thought were dreams were probably visions because you remember them for 55 years and a lot of them are coming true now.
And it's weird because you're like, I'm not.
Which can be scary.
You don't know this building, you don't know this place, but then some years later you'll walk into a building and go, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there is that happens because if I didn't have that kind of shit to cling to in this realm, I cling to it.
I very much use my visual imagination.
Well, yeah, it's mine.
To try
my sovereignty.
Yeah.
My number, my signpost, mine. Yeah. Mine. It isn't what somebody shoved down my throat the minute I got here. John 3:16. Know it. Remind people that he's coming. So there's how many programs that we go through. Those levels so it is so scary sometimes. I wasn't a video gamer kid, when they were first coming out. Yeah. I mean, I liked Frogger, but it was
Astro Blaster.
The fucking anxiety of getting that goddamn toad across the water on a log. And then the levels just got harder and faster, harder and faster, harder and faster, harder and faster.
Good kind.
Yeah,
my boyfriend is constantly so my boyfriend, he's a avid video game player because he works. I think a lot of your
girls' boyfriends are.
They were socialized to have that. Yeah, they really were, and no, it's.
How does that make you feel as far as if you? So us old people, we talk about love languages, and one of them is the attention. So I mean, would yours be? I guess it wouldn't matter if my guy played video games if I was one of those chicks because I did a wedding and that couple still comes in and their Friday nights is 2 separate pizzas, 2 separate rooms, 2 separate video games. Sometimes they play the same video games. They're on some fucked up headset. And they're married, and I'm like, is that the equivalent of what the 50s couple that slept in separate bedrooms was?
I don't know.
When your certain grandparents were sleeping. Oh my God, that's weird. 2 people would sleep alone but be together. But now I'm thinking about it, damn, that ain't so weird.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks for sure.
But as a young girl, I notice a lot of your significant others do play and spend a lot of time in that, and this isn't disrespectful, but that pretend world.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel? As far as, because I know you're a water sign, and I know you want a little
big crybaby.
Yeah, you want a little attention on your terms. So how Well, I've met your boyfriend,
I'll be
so he
honest,
seems like a good
sometimes
balance.
he tries.
Yeah.
It's hard because like he works kind of in that industry as far as doing art for games, whether that be like tabletop games or video games or like card games. So he's pretty involved. So for him, it is also studying, but he doesn't play it like.
You mean research as
yeah. And like developers, the way they design a game to be played is not how he's playing it. He's playing a game typically to break it, to find its weaknesses, to exploit
Aren't we all?
it, to
Aren't we all? And any game.
And so, and he also kind of has an obsessive personality. So when it switches, right now it's Bloodborne, but every few months, he'll get exposed to a new game and
what
dig in.
Do you mean by Bloodborne?
That's the name of the game.
Oh, I see. So it doesn't mean
he
was born with it.
He sacrifices to the PS5 controller.
So that's so fascinating because you again we could roll around to what your mom had said to you. You're in a world that I can't give you an advice for.
Like I have no idea
because our men, I guess. What did they have? Like a bowling league night, I guess. They
playing pool.
Right, pool league or my bar night. Or,
and even Keegan loves pool, but it's just.
But video games, I would be.
And there's some games I've gotten into. I've kind of found the games I like to play are not the games he likes to play.
So as somewhat of an avoidant, sometimes, how do you balance wanting to play a video game, knowing? Holy fuck! I gotta pack up this whole house.
Well, so I use this really effective method of I'm lying, but
you're lying. Okay, I love it.
Of procrastinating on one thing to give me the fuel to do another.
Okay,
and I have this cyclical, toxic, avoidant. I'm like, I really need to do my taxes, but I have been avoiding paying this commission for months. So do
you work better under pressure?
Always.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, another part of ADHD being socialized in the American public school system has been masking and crunching, overperforming and then underperforming because I'm burnt out.
Oh my God, we could do a whole podcast on just that.
It's a whole really intense cycle. So, I'll be working on my bookkeeping for taxes knowing damn well I have a couple more weeks to do it, but this painting is due. But I will paint, when I've got a couple more days left to do my taxes, and I'm, you know what I mean?
Well, damn, I'm honored that you're sitting here with me today when you got all that shit to do.
You don't even know.
No, I do know.
Endless, yeah.
I do know.
But this is this is a priority for me. Like this has become a very important space for me to be in.
Art?
Yeah, not just my art, but in this space with you here.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Like,
so we should touch upon a book. Are you? You already read the book.
I'm reading it right now. I'm almost.
Are you rereading it? Okay, I wanted not to change the subject, but I was curious. We're reading The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson for our next.
It?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm on chapter 7, so I'm really in the beginning stages.
I'm on the last third of it.
Damn.
A little pinch left.
Oh, so you even allow time for reading?
Well,
yeah, I haven't been.
I don't think I've read it since I suggested it.
Oh, so you're just relying on memory, because you're young.
Well, and I started reading it maybe 6 months ago, and I've been consistently reading it. As I like to juggle 4 books.
Wow.
Because I'll just kind of look at a book I've been reading, and it won't tickle my fancy the same way. But I usually circle back. Of course, I have books I've abandoned, but my mom got me a book for Christmas, but it's a totally different vibe. But The Seed Keeper hits really close to home for me. Reminds me very much of my hometown,
which is
Montrose. So
Montrose, Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
really?
just north of Flint.
Wow.
It's the last little
Lake
town.
Shore-ish?
No, it's Genesee County is the little square that Flint is in, and it is the last little town in the northwest corner of Genesee County. It sits on the county line.
Wow.
Shiawassee and Saginaw County.
I used to know a very interesting private investigator named Ron that did Genesee County.
Yeah, it's a crazy place.
Yeah.
A lot goes on there.
Wow. Yeah. Just mentioning his name.
So yeah, if you ever want to talk about my
Yeah, we'll have
time
to
in
do.
Flint, you know.
You know,
I spent a
when
good
you're in
amount
your
of time
manic
there.
moments, just, start an
Yeah.
index card of little
Yeah.
episodes that we could talk together after
Who
you get your
knows?
shit done.
We'll just ramble crazy style how we do.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because that's how I flow best. And I know it can bother some people when you're a very intense, energetic being that has leadership qualities but doesn't have much of a direction. I can see how it can confuse certain personality types.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on the cusp of anything, or I definitely can be a bit intense. For
I
sure.
relate to the intensity.
That's chaos. It's the chaos
intensely
that
excited. And me and my sister, we're doing all this. My sister Becky, we're best friends. We're so close, and she lives an hour and a half away from me, so that's tough. But we FaceTime a lot, and she comes over a lot, brings her kids over, and we like to share advice from our therapists with each other. We like to double dip and swap therapy. And her therapist kind of pointed out, like, oh, when things are going well for you, you probably like it can trigger a chaotic episode for her.
Absolutely can.
And she's prone to the manic panic just like anybody else. She's
recently diagnosed autistic, man. And no matter negative or positive, like, whoa.
Yeah, and so she will create these little upsets in her life when it's going well. Mine tend to be at any sign that it's not going well.
That's definitely an avoidant tactic. Yeah. For sure. The whole self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage,
especially in relationships. Yeah. For sure, yeah. So, or if you're codependent, it can really parallel, each other, especially if you're codependent and, yeah.
And I'm in a situation
and then you have anxiety on top of it.
Yeah, the anxiety, the depression.
So when you swap therapist stories.
Yeah.
So if you were to circle back, what led you to therapy in the first place?
Oh my gosh, kind of coming to terms with some of the things in my childhood. Actually, like, I used to love to perform jokes, or like I say jokes. When you I didn't know what trauma dumping was, when I was like 20.
You mean emotional dumping when somebody?
Well, yeah, or like when you're just talking to a friend or somebody you meet, or I guess it doesn't matter how long you know them, but being like casually talking about something that is actually deeply traumatic and almost like making a joke out of it or making light of it, like oh my gosh, everybody goes through XYZ, and people are like, no, that's actually terrible that happened to you, like.
Oh, so you minimize your trauma. Yeah. Well, I think that's a survival mechanism in itself. Because if I didn't do that.
Oh, seriously.
Because I have the same thing, or people look at me all cross-eyed, and I'm like, God, did I cross a boundary with them? Or when the
I'm accidentally making people really
because if you're an energy reader and that energy that shit,
you notice it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh fuck, what did I say? What did I do? Yeah, what was. Or especially the way I will just have nonchalant say my brother was murdered, or this guy broke my back, or I almost died in 2007, because you're so far removed, I think, from some of those situations that you can
unprocessed.
Yeah, but
it hasn't.
You can process the shit.
It's super processed, and you're just more comfortable with your story at that point. I was realizing that a lot of my things were unprocessed, and I started to notice a lot of.
How couldn't it be? You're a youngin'.
Like patterns from my parents' relationships. My parents got divorced when I was 5, so they've both been through a lot of shit, and just being a part of it, being a witness, things happening to me. I just started to take count that these things that are happening in my behavior, these things that are showing up in my life. Are probably really deeply, truly rooted in some of my childhood experiences. I started learning about attachment styles.
I would bet all the money you have on that.
Okay, well, it's $25. So don't worry.
A bet's a bet. A win's a win.
Yeah.
A win's a win. So do you place, on top of everything else that you got going on, do you place pressure on yourself to figure it out?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like, how am I going to survive if I don't figure it out?
But what are you figuring out? How to play the game?
I guess that's one way to put it.
To survive the game? I mean, what portion can you segregate out that I got to get this fucking part right or I'm gonna
Yeah.
sink?
Well, at first it was like my knowing that I really wanted to do art and knowing that if I was going to do it and make it successful, even though I identify with a lot of anarchy, I have to like run a business. Like if I don't want everything to come crashing down around me, I want my business to be legit commit so nobody can take it from me, so that it's mine. And so that was a huge thing. But also on top of that, I need to feed myself so that I don't starve to death. I need to have housing. I need to take. I've got a little
I
kitty
do
cat I
know.
have to take care of, and sometimes it's so. Like I was crying this morning. My boyfriend's trying to help me. He's like, he's supposed to be working. He's taking time away from the stuff he's supposed to focus on to help me. And like I wasn't even in a place to accept help because sometimes I'm just so hopeless. And I spend a lot of
Are
time
you
not being
able?
hopeless.
Are you able? Pardon my
No,
interruption.
that's
Are
okay.
you able to ask for help? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
like I don't
know.
know. I'm not very good
I
at it. I'll
suck
admit.
at it. I know, and I
I'm
can't
such
even
a
imagine
figure it
being
out.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's a trauma response. That
Ooh.
severe
So afraid to rely on people, but also I'm
independence.
literally
Yeah,
reliant on people. Like my
yeah,
my boyfriend just facilitated basically. I had savings, had past tense.
yeah.
Taking time off after I quit my job, or not quit, the restaurant closed. After Devani closed, I was like, I'm gonna go full throttle on this art stuff. But I was already so burnt out
Hmm.
from November, December season,
Yeah, your
doing.
adrenals are probably shot.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't. And I'm
Worry and
probably
all
about
the
to start my
things.
period, so that's not.
Oh my God, I
After I
can't.
have two crying days in a row where everything is
Yeah.
just
Well,
where I
no.
feel like a baby. You know what I mean? Like
Full moon.
sometimes you just feel like a fucking
And the
baby.
full moon's coming. Well, again, you not wanting to show weakness is a trauma response.
Constantly masking.
You're in your masculine.
Or
Yeah.
masking as in hiding qualities of my like wearing a mask over the ADHD. So like feeling late and behind, but trying to present like I've got it together. I can figure this out. Instead of I saw a really good video one time. It's like a lady and her husband or her boyfriend, and it kind of compares her masking versus her unmasking, and her masking her ADHD as he's like, "Hey, lover, are you ready to go?" And in her head, she's like, "I don't know where my purse is. My wallet's in my purse. I plugged in my phone, but I took my phone off the charger, and I'm not sure where it's at. I wanted to moisturize my face, and I have this thing that I'm supposed to grab to leave the door, or to go out the door." And so she just says, yeah, I think I'm good. Let me grab my phone and I'll be ready. And she gets in the car and she's like, wow, I don't have what I need. I feel like I'm going to break down inside, whatever. The unmasked version of that is he's like, hey, love, are you ready to go? And instead of her using that as a trigger to be like, make sure I look ready, she says, actually, I took my phone off the charger and then I lost it. And I don't know where my purse is right now, but it has my wallet and I need that. And if I grab those things, I really don't want to forget, XYZ before we walk out the door. And he's like, okay, cool. I'll grab this, make sure you have that, and they come together in their team. But I feel like so often we have to, for our survival or whatever that little instinct is in us that, make sure that we show up in the world as put together so that you're not rejected from the herd.
So did you show up here masked? You sound like you were just explaining the whole morning.
It feels very similar, yeah.
To what you just had. So
well,
did you
texting you, it was a practice of unmasking to text you and be like, hey, I want to grab these stools. I think that's going to make me later. And then to admit I'm having a rough morning. All of those are steps to taking the mask off.
Good for you.
Otherwise, I could have just cried in the car and be like, oh, there was a traffic jam. Or you know what I mean? These little things to try to make it seem out of my control. But it was in my control to an extent, even though I couldn't remember everything I was trying to grab.
God bless America.
And
that
change, yeah. I'm trying to embrace change, but by golly, I feel like I've seen a freaking enough of it.
And you're only 26.
I've been in so many.
Wow, boy, I wish I had some words of encouragement for you, but I don't.
It's okay. Keegan's parents are like, oh, we've been through so many moves and this and this. I'm like, I've already lived, I think, 10 places in my adult life.
Wow.
In my childhood, probably 10 places in my childhood. And I know some people move a lot more than that.
But that's a lot on your energetic signature if you're not doing it on purpose. Like if you're not living a nomadic life where you're, in a van
I
down by the river.
I think all the time I'm like, I'm just gonna get a big van or a trailer, and I'm gonna
How
just
fun would that be? Just for a
drive
year.
all
Just
around the country to different national parks. Not that those are protected very well anymore.
yeah, they're not. And they're all like
I'm so
covers
angry.
for other things.
I'm so
It's a whole nother podcast. I thought that was a car in the
yeah,
parking lot.
sometimes I would like to run away. I think I want stability, but then I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
too constricting. I want freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, wow, I've got all this freedom. I don't know what the fuck to do with it. Now I feel like I'm drowning because I can't, you know.
Well, you sound an awful lot like me, but I'm 25 years older than you are.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, girl.
Holy shit, that's crazy. I don't know if that's good for me.
25. I don't know.
Well, 26 years older than you? You're 26. I'm 55.
Math ain't mathing, queen.
Well, whatever. I'm
30, 29.
How many years? 29 years?
29 years.
Fuck.
I'm just trying to give you credit where it's due. You did those years.
I know.
You earned that.
Yeah, I sure did. And now I have a podcast to talk about it. And you know what's the funniest fucking thing about that whole thing is even years ago before a podcast was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
I remember being on a boat with a friend who's no longer my friend, but also ex-family member from my ex-husband's side.
Classic.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
because we were really
love those
close.
Relationships.
Yeah, we were really
I
close, and that bitch used to just shit on me, and I would be like, you know, as a water sign. You just
Dude,
always,
I was one of those friends too.
Yeah, where you just, you know,
I've been the
let
shitty
them,
friend.
Yeah, I've had many shitty friends. I'm the good friend. I wish I could find a friend like me. You know what I mean?
I wish I could
find you know, totally get it.
Well,
I
mean,
was telling her
how.
Well, at the time I was a bail bondsman.
Oh.
I know, and my name's Jennifer Lopez. So I was approached by a reality show company.
Oh my God.
When I was in Vegas for a bail bond convention. And the only reason they wanted me was because my name was Jennifer Lopez at the time. Think it's cool. At the time. And I remember coming back from that and asking my friends if they would sign paperwork that would allow, because I guess there's a lot of legalities that happens behind the scenes of a reality show back in the day.
They're doing weird shit too,
whatever.
But yeah.
But this is got to be 2000.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, long as this is before podcast. Yeah, this is before podcast. And I remember asking my bestie at the time if she would sign that piece of paper, and she was like, "Fuck no!" And trust me. Oh, and if you're listening, I'm not going to say your name out loud, but I know that you stalk my pages. Yeah, I got a lot of stories. Do you remember?
A lot of stories.
Do you remember Monkey Dick at Put-in Bay? I had a horse trainer. Who we all used to go to this little island called Put-in Bay, Ohio. And some pictures were taken. Well, Walmart, back in the day when you took your pictures to a place, filmed to be processed. I remember my horse trainer calling me in an utter panic that the person that worked at Walmart had sold our pictures to Girls Gone Wild. And this is a true story.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And we were all married women. Thank God I was 300 and some pounds. I was the only one not, sucking monkey dick.
Oh my God. Stop.
I'm not kidding.
I can't.
And that'll be a whole other podcast. So if there's not a hit out on me, there might be.
There might be not.
Because I have stories. You should have acted better in my story. I'm allowed to tell my stories, and that really happened in my story. So there's many of those types of stories where
endless supply.
Woo! And I remember them telling me that the place that we were going, you had to show your boobs for beads because it was like Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I am like morbidly obese. I'm like, I'm never going to show my boobs. I would never show my boobs.
It'd have been awesome.
I showed my boobs, and it was fucking awesome.
It was fucking awesome. Oh my God.
I got beads.
I got the beads, actually.
I got beads. But it was those types of pinnacle moments in my life, those learning lessons about not only women relationships, romantic relationships, work relationships, business relationships, just your everyday relationships with just if you frequent a gas station or a store, your relationship with that cashier that you might see every single day, or you
I
know,
don't
my
see anyone every
customers
day.
that come in.
God.
Well, for me, I don't know how, and this is just
You're
being,
a girl in the world. I cannot leave my house that frequently.
well, here's the thing. About to drop some real brutal honesty on you.
Yeah.
That energetically, I have no business being in this type
I know.
of sitting duck, brick and mortar,
Mm-hmm.
sit here all day where people have access to me all day long energetically.
Yeah.
I am sometimes drained by noon.
Yeah.
You know, between the emotional vampires, customers, all
Whatever kind of crossover
all
exists
the
there.
things that, you know, happen that are different, which I guess the best part, like you had mentioned earlier, you like the diversity of your day to be different.
Yeah,
for it
but
to
that
be
makes it
not
hard to
so
get
much.
that schedule, that.
But you like it
structure.
different in your head. You want it
Yeah.
on your terms. And for
Totally.
me, that is what the definition of freedom is. I might not make a lot of money here personally, which I don't make any money here. But the one thing that I get paid in is artistic freedom.
Totally.
I get to,
It's all around.
if I want to paint funky cardboard into shamrocks, turn it into whatever on a lull where there's not. Yesterday was thank goodness, and I'm very grateful for my community, was a busy day.
Yeah.
But I found myself in that busy day getting a wee bit resentful that it was taking away from my creative time.
Yeah, your whole up time. Yeah.
You're ripping me out of my imagination. So say you were in heavy meditation and somebody kept, you know,
poking at you.
Yeah, that's how it kind of feels. So there is a switch off. I think there has to be, if you, especially you, and that's probably the only advice in any arena I could give you, would be the artistic arena, that you probably are going to have to accept that it's going to come with a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifices and a lot of don't want to do it but have to.
It's hard. It's hard to paint when I don't want to. It's hard
Then
to
you should never paint
good.
on those days. That's when you should be like.
That's advice I needed, because
no, you should energetically.
You gotta make it a practice. You gotta, and I'm like, dude, I just want to paint happy little things when I feel like it.
Well, all right, then you have to determine what type of artist you're going to be,
Right.
and put yourself in the parameters that you're not constantly failing yourself
Yeah.
on somebody else's definition of what an artist is.
Yep.
So when I say discipline, I mean in Amanda's discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like Amanda needs just maybe a little bit more baby steps, where for me personally, my baby steps consist of, okay, Jen, you're going to create for 37 minutes. Like the octopuses that I did the other day.
Yeah.
I allowed myself no wrong answer in 37 minutes.
Just do whatever.
Until the timer goes off. And that's it. And then you go on to the next, and you might not have created what you thought you were going to create. Yeah. You might not have packed as many boxes as you needed to pack for that day. Mm-hmm. But if you chop it down into manageable pieces, and let's face it, we thrive on chaos.
That's what
and
I'm
you
saying.
love
it's like
chaos.
My brain doesn't understand manageable
I
pieces.
love chaos because it feels so familiar. Oh yeah, I'm still all or nothing, black or white. You know, there's no middle, and I do have a gray area. I mean,
yeah, we're trying. We are like balancing balance.
So you could go and say, so what my index card sometimes for the day looks like energetically, especially if I was bombarded from the minute I woke up with messages or energetic siphoning. Mm-hmm. You know, amazing how much just one little looking at Facebook first thing in the morning can, can suck the life, you know.
Wrong.
And I have this system of research for because I write and journal. Mm-hmm. And the day, I might sound a little crazy, I don't care. But the day that my brother died, we all found out on Facebook, and I was given a profound, and I mean probably the second most profound message I was given, other than being on my deathbed, that I was to use Facebook intentionally. Yeah. And that it would show me when needed what that would be consistent or what that would consist of. And for me, even Facebook in the beginning was very cringe, very voyeuristic. I didn't want anything to do with seeing any other person's business or them seeing mine. And you guys had things like Vine. You were watching like 7 seconds. Yeah, or whatever that was. Very fast, quick. should I still watch people in my age group? Like, really, nobody wants to read your fucking 3-page. I'm all about myself and I'm a mentor, but yet you're a mentor in a field that I don't even see you being an active, like, especially let's just for shits and giggles, say you are a relationship coach.
Mm-hmm. You don't
If
have
you're
any
not in a
relationships.
fucking relationship and you're asking for how much an hour, oh, that bugs me.
Yeah, some of it's weird.
It bugs me. But then it bugs me more that people are paying for it. Because they want to hear the pretty words. They want the new age bullshit wrapped around in this. And then they want somebody to do it for them.
Yeah, and it's like, this is actually work. Like, not work in the sense that it's like,
so it is chipping away.
Holes, but it's like, dude, you gotta, I'm not good at it. I'm not saying I'm good at putting in the work as far as like shadow work and different.
You may be in a different way, though. You may be in the ways that, because it could be right here. You know, the minute the universe sees you're not working at it, it might be a small poke, but then it's somebody calling and saying, you got to move in a month.
Yeah, you have to move. That's mosey bobbing along.
That's your push from the universe because Amanda needs a little something stronger. And Jen's been that way her whole life.
Oh
like,
my God.
That's not enough to get me up off my ass. You're going to have to make it
I have to have a raging fire under my ass.
Yeah, a little bit more chaotic. And my eye's twitching now that I'm talking about it because I know I'm right. About myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy life and man.
It's tough, in fact.
It really is. And when people are like, oh, just find the joy in it. I'm like, some days
go
really,
fuck yourself.
Yeah, really, some days I don't want to.
And then some days, I see the value in that message. It just doesn't account for needing to acknowledge that hard stuff is fucking hard. We can't just gaslight ourselves into believing everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time, because it ain't. And the world is fucking also on fire. So it's like, as a collective, we have so much stress and things to worry about. Like, America is on a global watch list for, I'm trying to think of how it was worded, what I saw, for like human rights, global human rights.
What do you mean? Because we suck at it?
Well, like with current administrations and situations going on, we're not really being treated humanely. And like, I've got it better than so. You
mean Americans as a whole, or?
Yeah, Americans as a whole. Just poverty and economic disparity and lack of access to healthcare, lack of access to education. Like, we would consider, if
people used to come here for that shit.
That's what I'm saying. And looking from the outside in, which many people are doing, and they're like, yikes, dictatorship on the way, if not already here. Authoritarianism.
I want to get out of here.
I know.
I got my passport.
It's scary to even fucking say that.
I know. I want to get out of here.
And there's just so many problems that do have solutions, but everyone's like, we can't solve all these problems. It's like, yes, we can. We just won't prioritize it.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's back up. They don't want to solve those problems.
That's what I'm saying. The system is not broken. It was made
that way.
This way to keep people down. And
it is to keep you in the chaos that you're so familiar with from the get. From the minute you cracked out of that fucking portal.
Yeah.
Like, damn, it's pretty hard here. Fucking hard.
And, like I said, we got a lot, like, for some people, the apocalypse is now. You know what I mean?
It's been going on. They've been dragging that fucking shit.
Well, not okay. Let me rephrase. Not like, the rapture. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that.
Is he coming today?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying some people are being, like, I'm being very nicely kicked out of my home by my landlord. Nicely,
which I'm sure is
nicely,
in a legal
as in
way.
He didn't show up,
Still
with
kind
a
of
shotgun or a threat or,
Right.
dragging my shit out of my house. That's some people's reality. And so when I say the apocalypse is now, like, all of the forests not being protected anymore, like, apparently land equivalent 3 times the size of California is basically going to be up for auction to be cut down. I didn't think we had that much forest left in America.
Wow, I was just gonna say that surprises me.
That's a lot. That's like,
What is it in a
it feels
park?
like the rest of it. No, it's not all together. Just across America, an area that size. Because, dude, it makes me mad to drive along the highway and see laying for sale for commercial use. Like, no, there's
Oh my
trees there,
God.
motherfuckers. Those are trees.
How many empty real estate buildings do you see?
So
And
many.
here's the thing.
Way more
You're
than
going to
enough to
see
house the
so
homeless.
many more.
Yeah.
Amazon, all the order gatherers, come on. They no longer need what I have here.
And the energy
This
suck
brick and
is
mortar
so
little
inequivalent.
tiny, like, how many banks are going like belly up? How many banks do you see, like bank buildings that are with the drive-through, like for sale, for lease, or
It's
just driving
weird.
down Lake Michigan Drive?
And I'd love
Seriously.
to see most of it go down in flames, but
Would
what
you?
we
You
have-
mean the banking or like small mom and pop?
I mean, not mom and pop places as much as giant corporations that operate for insane profits off the backs of working people. Yeah, I mean, there's just a huge.
Yeah, but isn't that been the upper Morandi from the dawn of time?
Modus operandus.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, it's been. Well, I guess no, not since the beginning of time. I think something I need to read a lot more literature about what I'm talking about. I'm not
Because don't you?
an expert.
Because if like we went from, seems like we're all constantly been striving and slaving for something, for somebody else.
So some people have.
So
and not to say that
it's
bad,
been
it
the
has
plan.
something wrong
I'm
with your
thinking
brain.
it's been programmed into the
Yeah,
game as part. I mean, a very essential part of
Something I think is important to say
the
is
simulation.
power rots people's brains. When I believe this has been studied. Again, I don't have any materials. I'm not prepared to make a written
So when
statement.
you say power, do you mean greed and
Just
like control?
being a one person and having control.
You mean like the
Whether
Elon
it's
Musks
money,
of the world that don't share?
I think that it can happen in a much lower level, and that props up motherfuckers like Elon Musk, who's a piece of shit. But there is that guy, there's something wrong with his brain. And I'm not talking about the fact that he's autistic. I'm talking about anybody who feels, who gets some type of boost or thinks that they're doing a good job by hoarding any type of resource because it gives them a leg up. That is weird and inhuman and inhumane. It goes against our human nature to hoard things that other people need. A part of what built humanity.
Yeah, but
is sharing.
let's stop right there for a second. If it went against human nature, it wouldn't be happening. So there has to be somewhere stitched into the fiber of what this simulation is. It had to have been stitched in somewhere because there's no way.
I'm sure somebody has studied where it started. Well, with rise of dogmatic religion. But yeah, you're right. Like that did start somewhere with some people. But it appears to be that when people have power over other people, it changes the way they think, it changes the way they see themselves, even in whether it's a domestic relationship or an entire, you're ruling a country, believing
but what if we
that
dug
you
deeper into why there was such a ferocious appetite?
Yeah, I'd love to.
For control? Because what do you suppose that is? Mommy didn't hug you enough?
Absolutely. Among other things.
I mean, do you think it boils down to like a nurturing component of the formative years where you're learning empathy?
Oh, I'm sure the formative years are involved.
Yeah, but some kids are born, they're just fucking whacked, man. They're well, I mean, how much of it is, or did something go wrong in the pokety poke that disrupted some genetic
I think it's
cord?
I don't think that it's recent enough to be related to that necessarily, but there's not necessarily.
So all right, here let me raise a little. Let me plant a little seed. So like
as you do,
yeah. So like with certain talks about autism, and you say Elon. I did not know that Elon Musk was one of those label
Well, I think that he prescribes to the
on the spectrum, or
no, like the Asperger's variety, and that is kind of goes back to the Holocaust in a weird way. Like autistic, but can work. So they weren't sent to the.
So what if all of this for your generation, especially gender, certain, I mean, heavy topics. What if, and maybe from my generation in the 90s, maybe it was the equivalence of AIDS, the rise of AIDS and the glorification of gay, of how, there was always this debate whether they were born with it or if
Hmm.
they had a choice, especially where, what are those stupid places that they conversion, so
Conversion therapy. Oh,
yeah,
that's so
conversion
fucked
therapy,
up.
so that they would no, you're not, you got to go to conversion therapy.
Yeah.
So what if the common denominator of a human being wanting to go so off putting or so off course of what the rigidness of what the simulation's supposed to be,
Hmm.
what if it was this assembly line inoculation that happened the minute you come out of the portal? What if it was this genetic modification inside of cells that were manipulated at a very high, much higher level? You talk about the Holocaust, and there are certain things I think they discovered in Hitler's stage that they definitely suppressed as far as technology and certain things. But what if, and just hear me out, what if that was chemically driven in a very genetic, hey, we're going to mix a little male and female chromosome. We're
Well,
going to mix
okay,
a
so
little
something I
goat
wanna
milk in here. We're going to mix a little, let's do Frankenstein, because let's face
so
it, oh, no, we could go down many rabbit holes here, especially the pig. If you research the pig and how close it is to the actual human,
oh right.
so what would be your thoughts on what if it was this common denominator of things that we all have just, nah, it couldn't be that. No, no. What if it's like right here in front of your face that was causing it?
I would be
Nobody would still believe it, but I mean, what if it was brought to your personal attention? Would you have more empathy? Would
more empathy
you,
for what?
anybody that wanted to be trans, anybody that was gay,
Oh,
anybody
I
that wanted to
have.
be different? I know that you already have it now, but do you think that
So
societally or culturally it would be more acceptable if it was, oh, government's messing with our things, our systems of
okay,
how things go?
right.
Oh, it
Okay.
must have been that first inoculation, or this is what's causing this. Because we don't just do a collective shift.
Hmm.
This isn't energetic. I don't feel like it's energetic, and the end game can't be they want us all gone, because we would already be gone. So what
I mean,
if
life is
the
pervasive.
Yeah, but what if the energetic, what if the end game, or what if the game itself? Because let's face it, we're in a fucking game. Unless we're in a simulation.
Yeah, we
And
are
the
just
way that
blue
we have
guys floating on a
transitioned.
rock.
Because I know my parents would be like, ah, damn, I would have never seen that coming.
Yeah.
As far as genetics, as far as autism, as far as all the things. But they were the first, they were quick generation to stick their arm out, to just listen to the government. My
Okay,
moms
so
of my generation were taking shots for morning sickness that were really fucking up, giving their kids third boobs,
yeah,
not being
people.
able
I
to
mean,
have kids.
people have been doing weird shit,
Yeah,
right?
they have been
but
accepting that controllers say. So from that controller's perspective, what's the end game? Just to be able to manipulate and be like, look what I can do.
I just want to like clarify based on the things that I have learned, the things that I have been exposed to, is that everything related to gender identity, I think it feels new and buzzy now, but these concepts are not new. People have always
Exactly.
been gay, other animals display homosexual behavior. It seems like a completely, I don't think that anybody had to fuck with anything for people to be born into a society that has these rigid gender roles and says, I don't think I fit that. I don't think that there had to necessarily be any meddling besides creating these weird constructs of this is the role of a man, this is the role of a woman, when very many people exist that simply don't conform, and not just for the sake of it, but because of their own personal attributes, the way they were raised, sometimes they're genetics. Like there are intersex folks that exist that, you know, people will be, and not like you, but people will be quick to say, you know, let's look at the chromosomes to determine gender, but you can't say often because it is rare, but these people exist where their phenotype, the way that their bodies or their genitals form, is not properly dictated by their chromosomes. And
I brought that up because we were talking about how people will control things, and I definitely feel
I mean,
that
they're playing some genetic game for sure. Yeah, I think that there is
that's Frankenstein syndrome, whatever it is that you want to call it. I think has been happening throughout. I mean, generation after generation after generation, and they've only upped the ante. Like we're just, I mean, in the thick of it, we're really just. They're little field mice in a maze that, hey, we get to test on you at any given time, no matter what, which fascinates me. That's why I love to hear all perspectives. Yeah. And one of the things that right now trending with inside me that fascinates me is your generation's perspective on gender.
Because we've been so exposed to, and I mean, I think
because of the simulation was set up that way. Because why do you... That's why I said we have to dig deeper. Why in the fuck would they have messed with their own simulation? You set all these rigid rules of how it's supposed to go, and then it's like
I don't know if they prepared for this 1%.
But is it in the preparing? Is the whatever they're after in the preparing of the conditioning of, because as a collective you can clearly see that the collective has been conditioned.
So I very much feel like we have been conditioned to make babies, create workers, be a worker
from the dawn of time,
right? And so
how do you break free from what everybody you gotta break free from the matrix?
Well, and I don't know if it's the dawn of time so much as, like I said, that I have more reading to do, I have more literature to explore, but there was a shift, and I believe it has to do with like the Enlightenment era. There's a shift that made people feel specifically empowered in a way, and obviously slavery has existed.
I was going to say, how can you combine the two if you still had the levels though? Do you think at any time we were all on the same level in the game, that we all started from the same place?
I guess I do.
Because there's the controllers, there's the participants of the game, and some people are just fucking filler. And nobody, and this is just all fun to talk about, folks, because nobody ever, in my humble opinion, will ever truly know the whys and wherefores of where we're at right now. Because we're supposed to get to the no thing. I mean, your goal in life is, just to get right back to nothing.
Yeah, and I struggle with the concept of all of these presumed roles, I guess, considering like you never really know. I wish I knew how to word it better.
Where would you go if you knew though?
But I'm saying it's hard to know as far as some people being filler. Like everybody has their own full,
I can only speak on how people show up in my reality and awareness, because this is my dream.
Totally.
I have accepted that you are in my reality today.
Yes.
So it's all about how you're playing the game within the game within the game within the game. Like those little peanut people that you could take one out and there'd be another one, What do they call them people? So I think it's a Russian doll. What do they call that? Where there's just another layer, another layer, another layer, another layer.
Yeah, if you Google Russian doll,
they're called something.
I want to say it's okay.
How do you even say that? Matryoshka doll. Isn't that what that is? Or there's many in one.
Matryoshka.
That must be the Russian name.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I probably pronounce
the stacking dolls. I thought there was a fun name.
Well,
I can't. Oh, nesting dolls.
Nesting. That's what
nesting dolls. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, Amanda, 1, 2, 3. That's the time. Boy, we did good today. I'll have you back again for part 2.
Perfect.
How does that sound?
Sounds amazing.
I love your energy.
I
Thanks
love
for
you.
sharing it with me today, even though you're in a day that is kind of don't want to do it in the
Don't
have
want to
to.
do it
Yeah.
all the time.
So this is a free zone, free space.
Oui,
Thanks
oui.
for sharing
Of course.
yourself
Thanks for
with
letting
me.
me be here.
Yeah. Well, anytime. We'll see same place, same time next week.
Next week.
Okay, see you soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye.